Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of the battle of the 60-watt outdoor portable party speakers, rugged party speakers. Apologize in advance if this video might take a little long, and it also took a little long to get to part 2. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's been a heat wave going on here in California and probably in other parts of the United States. So it's been really hard to make videos indoors without the AC going on or the fan. And it is still hot right now, and I'm probably going to be sweating my butt off by the time this video is done, just because I did turn off my AC and the fan inside my room so it wouldn't have any extra noise. We're doing things a little bit differently because I'm not recording with my Sony ZV-1 camera, because my Sony ZV-1 can overheat in this hot weather. Within like say 30 minutes or so, it'll overheat. I didn't want to use my Panasonic because my Panasonic camera has focusing issues, so we are using my LG V60 smartphone for this video recording in 4K. And the one good thing with the LG is that this smartphone will not overheat. Sometimes even my S21 Ultra will overheat during recordings when it's in hot weather. And the LG V60, since I've owned it, has not had that problem. Plus, the LG V60 still has a headphone / microphone jack, and it has a good digital audio converter built in to the inside this phone. Probably do a video coming up soon on the LG V60 and why it's still a good smartphone for 2022. But with that out of the way, we're just going to get straight into the sound test. As you guys notice, there's a new contender. Right here to my right is the Mifa Wildbox, which I just currently did a first impressions review and unboxing. So this will be part of the test. What you guys don't also know is when I powered these speakers on, I believe the Dazzling Boom and the Mifa are already connected to my smartphone because they have simultaneous connections built in where in their chip, whereas I don't think the W King D9-1 has one. I don't know if you guys could see it, but the blue dot next to the power button is still blinking, which means it still needs to be connected. We're just going to get straight into the sound test and then get into the extra features of these speakers and why you would want to get one over the other. But the most important thing why you would get a speaker is to get good sound quality, right? So that's what we want to test out right away. So if this is your first time watching any of my videos, let me explain to you guys how I do my sound test or sound demos. I'll just play the same track. I'm going to play 3 different tracks, but I play them at the same part of the track for each one. Because depending on the song or what part of the track the song is on, it could have more bass or more tones, more musicality in some parts of the song than on others where the speaker falls into. So that's why we're going to play the same part of the music track on each of the speakers. That's number 1. And like I said, right now I'm usually at 2 feet away, but because I had to try to fit all 3 of these into the camera, I'm probably a little bit more than 2 feet away, probably like 3 feet away. I could go to my LG V60 settings and put it in super wide mode, but I noticed the video looks already kind of grainy in super wide mode, and I want this to be super clear as much as possible. I want the video to be as clear as possible, and also the sound, most importantly. So that's why I didn't put it on its super wide mode settings or extra wide settings on the camera. Okay, so yeah, so the first part of the track, we're going to play at 50% and then maybe at 100%. We'll go extra bass off first and then extra bass on. By default, all these speakers are at extra bass on. But this time out, in this part 2, we will test out extra bass off and then we'll test out extra bass on. The Mifa Wildbox, its latest firmware is version 2.6, but I went back to the default firmware. I didn't like the newest firmware version for the Mifa Wildbox, so I went back to the default firmware that came out of the box with the Mifa. The newest firmware on the Mifa had a more tighter bass, which means a more tighter bass that it doesn't distort and it doesn't bleed into the other parts of the music like your mids and your highs. But the treble was too harsh. I didn't like it, and I'm pretty sensitive to treble, so I went back to the original firmware that came out of the box with the Mifa. Okay, so yeah, well, that's how we're going to run these tests. We're going to do extra bass off first on all these speakers, and then extra bass on, or the bass up on, bass up off, something like that. All right, Now, the reason why I have them this way also in this arrangement, if you guys don't notice, the Mifa and the Dazzling Boom, both of the speakers on the left and right, have passive radiators on the sides. So if I put either one of them in the middle, some of you guys might be saying, oh, you know, the Mifa Wildbox is in the middle, so the passive radiators gets more chance to be deeper and more resonant and something like that, right? More resonance. So I put them on the sides, put the W King in the center because the W King's passive radiator is in the back. And since the Dazzling Boom is already connected, we're going to go with the Dazzling Boom first, and then the W King, and then the Mifa. First, we'll make sure we're at 50%, as you guys can see. Same tracks as I always play on my sound test demos. If you guys don't know, go into my channel and see some of the previous videos that I did. So here we go. So first up is that one right there, the top music, Subway Dreams, 50% volume. Okay, now we're going to 100% volume, starting with the Dazzling Boom. Do take note, with the Dazzling Boom and the Mifa Wildbox, you can control the volume with a smartphone. The W King D9-1, the first thing you have to do first is turn up this volume up button all the way to the top or all the way up until it makes that noise. And then you can do the volume controls on your phone. Okay, now we're going to do them with extra bass on. so that's at 100% volume on this second track, which is this Metro Young Logos. I think I'm figuring out the W King now. So I notice when I press the EQ button, when it's blinking twice, or the Bluetooth light is blinking, like right there, it's still connected, but I think that's for the extra treble. I'll know for sure when I go to the manual. So yeah, I looked at the instruction manual, found out on the W King. So when it's a solid blue, the bass boost is on and it's connected. When it's a blinking blue light, it means that it's treble boost instead of bass boost. All right.
Try to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until
fade away. Cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away. Cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna...
Okay, so that was 100% volume, extra bass on the Dazzling Boom, bass boost on the W King D9-1, and the bass up button is on the Mifa Wildbox. Okay, this is the last song out of the sound demos. This is called Illusions Anno Domini Beats. It's a pretty good track as far as like, it's got some bass. It's got a lot of instruments, even like with the piano playing and stuff like that in the beginning. So it should be pretty good as far as for doing a sound demo because of a lot of the instrumentation and some bass and, you know, mids and highs in there. I kind of messed up, me, the tester, and not the speaker. When we were doing 100% volume on one of the tracks, I think it was the Metro song by Nefex. It was one of the bass heavy songs by Nefex. The Metro was all instrumental. I left the flap like this. The flap was just hanging, so it was hitting the bass passive radiator. So you might have heard crackling, which is not the fault of the speaker, but the fault of this guy right here, the tester. So now I have the gasket all the way pushed in, so we shouldn't hear any of that crackling. And we're going to do it again at 100% volume. Extra bass is on for the Dazzling Boom, bass boost is on for the W King, and bass up is on for the Mifa Wildbox. Okay, so that is that for 100% volume, bass up on the Mifa, bass boost on the W King, and extra bass was on the Dazzling Boom. Once again, I want to apologize if these are not the songs that you guys are familiar with, like say your classic, top 40 R&B, hip hop music. But if I were to play those songs, I would get a copyright strike, or even worse, my video would get blocked. If you guys have any suggestions for copyright-free music that I can use in my testing, please put them in the comments below, and I'll see if I can get those songs for future videos. Okay, so now that we got the sound test out of the way, let's talk about all the other extra features that might decide your purchasing decision. Okay, first things first, let's get this out of the way because it's one of my main purchasing decision on whether I get the speaker or not, or if I wait for, like I said, on all three of these speakers, I got them on lightning deals. So I did not pay the full regular price for any of these speakers. So starting with the W King, because that was the first one that I got, I had gotten it for like around $60 when it was at a normal price for it is $89.99. This is the W King D9-1. There's two of them. There's a W King D9 and a D9-1. The D9-1 is supposedly the upgraded version, so that's the one that I got. And at the time of making this video, it goes for $89.99. So that's that. The Dazzling Boom, the next one that I got, I also got it on a deal. Can't remember right off the bat, but for right now, it's selling for $69.99. This one fluctuates in price. This one is usually at a steady price of around $80 to $90. This one can fluctuate between almost $100 to $69.99, which is like $70. So at the time of making this video, the Dazzling Boom is $69.99, or you can make a firm payments for $12.71 a month. All right, it says it right there. And then last but definitely not least is the Mifa Wildbox. And again, I got the Mifa Wildbox on a lightning deal for around like $80. And its normal price, as you guys can see right here, is $129.99, or you can make a firm payments for $12.67. So the Mifa Wildbox is $30 more expensive. Is it 30? Yeah, 30. It's actually $40 more expensive than its next most expensive competitor, and that's the W King at $89.99. So this is $40 more, and it's $60 more than that, almost twice as much as the Dazzling Boom at the time of making this video. So those are some things you got to take into consideration. Now that we took price out of the equation, let's talk about its extra features. First off, let's talk about the build. Okay, all three of these speakers are all plastic. The Mifa is plastic all around. The W King has plastic with a little bit of metal right here on the grills. And the same thing with the Dazzling Boom. It has these, I think these are metal grills. Could be plastic. And then everything else is plastic. They're plastics that they're made out of. The polycarbonate material that they're using seems to be pretty much almost the same. What I like about all of these speakers is that they're not shiny speakers. They're like they have a matte finish, so they don't really attract fingerprints that much, except for probably the Dazzling Boom right there in the back, as you guys can see. So they all have that in common. This Mifa Wildbox with these patterns right here in the back and also on the front, the same patterns on the speaker grill side, makes it more resistant to smudges and fingerprints. And then the same thing with the W King right here with the handle and this stuff right here in the back. It makes it resistant to fingerprints, so that's pretty good. All in all, the build quality is pretty similar. They're all plastic. The W King has a little bit of metal. I'm going to say the Dazzling Boom and the Mifa Wildbox are just all plastic. Now, the one obvious thing that you guys can see right off the bat is the LED lights. The Dazzling Boom has a bunch of LEDs, and that's the one advantage the Dazzling Boom has. Even all these function buttons right here, as you can see, they're all lit up. The W King's buttons do not light up, and the Mifa Wildbox's buttons, they only light up when you're in when they're in use as far as these function buttons. The volume down, play pause, volume up, and the light button. Actually, the lighting button I think is on. And then the TWS or party add feature where you can connect it to more than 100 speakers. This is also not lit up by default unless it's being used. So the Dazzling Boom has the advantage in the lights department as far as that goes. It's got all these LEDs right here, as you can see. It also has the LED right there. That's actually for the battery, so it's at 100% because I just charged them before I did this sound test. And it's also got this knob for volume, as you can see. And it's got these LEDs on the sides, similar to the Mifa Wildbox right there, as you guys can see. So one thing with the Mifa Wildbox that I just found out in the last few days, the last lighting mode on this, the yellow light, the solid yellow light, is what Mifa calls like their flashlight mode. So you use this as a lantern / flashlight. Although it should have been white, right? A brighter color than yellow. So that white LED, if you wanted to use it as a flashlight. So as far as lights go, the Dazzling Boom and the Mifa are the only ones with RGB lights. The W King doesn't have any. So if you're into that, then these are the only two speakers you would be interested in. Now, portability accounts for, like, say, how much they weigh and, you know, how solid they feel. When we're going about how much they weigh and how solid they feel, it's going to be the W King. Even though the W King is supposed to be only 4.5 pounds, it feels so much more solid and more weighty and heavier than the other two 60-watt speakers that we have here. The next heaviest is the Dazzling Boom at 4.23 pounds, and then the Mifa is at a even 4 pounds. Wattage. All of these are, I found out from the Mifa website, they're all 60 watt RMS. So if you guys don't know, RMS is the actual usable wattage or volume that you can use without any crackling or distortion. And then they're all at 80 watts peak, I'm going to presume. The Dazzling Boom has two active speakers right here, these 4-inch or 3.5-inch subwoofers, and then the two passive radiators on the sides right here. That's the speaker configuration on the Dazzling Boom. The W King D9-1, forgot to mention, is on the Dazzling or on the W King D9-1. This is the only LEDs that you can see on a W King is for the power and Bluetooth and the battery level. So right now it's at a solid 3 white LEDs, so that means it's got a full battery capacity, and it's at a solid blue, which means it's connected, and it's also on extra bass. If it was still connected and it blinks a little, then that would be at its treble boost function instead of bass boost. Okay, what were we talking about now? Oh yeah, the W King, like I said, has the two active speakers, the subwoofers. Not sure the size of them. I want to say 3.5-inch also, like the Dazzling Boom. And then the 1/4-inch tweeters right here. And then it has the 7-inch passive radiator in the back right here. The Mifa Wildbox is almost configured like the W King. It's pretty much, the Mifa is the blend of the two of these speakers put together, of the Dazzling Boom and the W King. From the few days that I've been using the Mifa Wildbox, this is like the mini Tri-Bit Stormbox Blast, the Mifa Wildbox is. I hope in the future that they will make a bigger version of this, just like the Stormbox Blast. I might be interested in getting that. So this has your 3-inch or 3.5-inch active woofers here on the behind the grill, and then a Silk Dome 0.75-inch tweeters, and then you have your passive radiators here on the sides. So that's what's similar with the Dazzling Boom, is it has the passive radiators on the sides and also your subwoofers, but it also has the tweeters that the W King also has tweeters right here. The difference on the W King is that its passive radiator is this one big one on the back, and as you guys can see, the one thing I don't like is that it's exposed, and if you leave this flap open, and it hits the radiator, it'll make that crackling noise that you guys probably heard. Okay, other extra features. None of these speakers, the one thing I don't like with any of these speakers is they don't come with an app. Although I heard Mifa is developing one, so hopefully soon Mifa will have an app. So that makes the 129 even that much more worth it. And then codecs that they use. The Mifa can use most of the codecs like FLAC, LDAC, MP3, your SBC formats and things like that for wireless. The W King and the Dazzling Boom, I believe they only use the AAC or SBC codecs. And speaking of with the sound part of it and that they don't have an app, they have a digital sound processor or DSP or whatever, where the Dazzling Boom comes with two modes, an extra bass mode and an extra bass mode off. The W King D9-1, for its EQ settings, it has bass boost on or bass boost off. And then the Mifa Wildbox has bass up on or bass up off. And one thing that you've all probably already seen from watching the video right now is the Mifa has, they all have an automatic off or auto off feature. And the Mifa already turned off because it wasn't connected or wasn't playing any music for a while. So this one has the least or the quickest auto off feature. The W King and Dazzling Boom, their auto off feature is a little bit longer. I would say about like 20 minutes or so, maybe longer. The Mifa Wildbox is, like I said, Bluetooth speaker with 60 watts of RMS, 80 watt peak output. It has Bluetooth 5.3, whereas the other two, the W King and the Dazzling Boom, are only Bluetooth 5.0, I believe. So with the 5.3, there's another reason why you're probably paying the extra money. Is with Bluetooth 5.3, you're getting a stronger, more stable connection, even when you're not in line of sight, even when you're in another room, and you have less latency. And that is the one thing I noticed from using all these speakers for watching videos, is the Mifa Wildbox has the least amount of latency. So the sound and the video match up pretty well, especially when you have the actors talking and their mouths are moving along with the sound and it's in sync. The Mifa Wildbox has the least amount of latency versus the other two with that Bluetooth 5.3. The Mifa Wildbox could also be connected to more than one device at the same time with Bluetooth 5.3, although the Dazzling Boom has that feature also with Bluetooth 5.0. I don't know how they do it or what chip they're using, because the W King D9-1 with its Bluetooth 5.0 cannot connect to more than one device simultaneously. All three of these speakers have good Bluetooth range, as you guys have seen in, well, as you've seen with these two, the Dazzling Boom and the W King. When I took them outdoors and I was 60 feet away, they still had a pretty strong connection. The Mifa Wildbox is IP67, which means it's dust and waterproof, so you don't have to worry about taking it to the beach and getting dust and sand on the speakers. Just wash it off. It's also submergible in water. It can take a dunk in water for up to 30 minutes and 3.3 feet with the IPX7. So the IP67 is the one advantage the Mifa Wildbox has over the W King. The W King only is IPX7, which means it can take splashes of water or even a jet stream, like, you know, with a hose, and nothing more. You can't dunk it. The Dazzling Boom is IPX7, which means it can take a dunk in water or be submerged in water for up to 30 minutes in 3.3 feet, but it cannot, it's not dust resistant. None of these other two, the W King or the Dazzling Boom, are dust proof like the Mifa Wildbox. The other extra features though is the Dazzling Boom and the W King can take phone calls. The Mifa Wildbox does not work as a Bluetooth speaker as far as for phone calls. So this does not have the phone call feature. The Dazzling Boom and the W King does. The Dazzling Boom might be able to have that Alexa feature too. I'm not sure, but these do take calls. W King, I know for sure, takes calls. I tested it. And the Mifa Wildbox does not. The Mifa Wildbox and the Dazzling Boom, you can pair it with up to 100 speakers of the same model type. So you can pair it with other 100 other Wildboxes, and the Dazzling Boom can be paired with 100 other Dazzling Booms, or should we say 99, right? 100 total. This one could only be paired with another W King D9-1 in what they call true wireless stereo mode. Another extra feature, like I said, that I really like with the Dazzling Boom is that it has that volume knob. It takes me back to the old boombox days with the little volume knob right there. I wish more speakers would have volume knobs and a bass and treble boost knob to fine-tune the bass and the treble. Okay, features. Let's go to the back and see what they have extra feature-wise in the back. The Dazzling Boom has this nice rubber gasket. When you open it, you could see it has a USB-C port for charging your speaker. It has the 3.5 connector, so you can plug it into like say an iPod or your MP3 player, and it works also as a power bank with the USB-A port right there. And like I said, the gasket, the rubber seal, is very easy to open. The W King D9-1, it's not as easy if you don't have fingernails, but it's not that hard like the Ortizon. And same thing with the W King D9-1, you have the USB-C port right here for charging the speaker, and it takes a lot longer. Out of all three of them for charging, the W King takes the longest to charge. In the middle, we have our audio connector, the 3.5 audio connector, so you can connect it to a device that doesn't have Bluetooth, like say an old iPod or MP3 player, but you also get the benefit of using a micro SD card slot to play music, where on the Dazzling Boom you couldn't. And then you have the USB-A port for charging other devices. Okay, then last but certainly not least, the Mifa Wildbox also has this rubber seal gasket in the back. And I like this nice little touch. It says Wildbox right here, and then you can scan a QR code. I failed to mention that in the unboxing to probably give you more information on the speaker. And same thing, you have USB-C. So all of these have USB-C for charging so that's good. For 2020 on up, they should all be USB-C. Right here in the middle, you have USB-A for charging other devices. You have your micro SD card slot, so it does have micro SD card slot for listening to music, just like the W King. So that's a really good thing to have, which I think most speakers should have, because let's say you're actually camping, and where you camp at does not have Bluetooth or any kind of wireless connectivity, or the wireless connectivity is weak. Micro SD card slot will work just fine, unless you have an MP3 player or something like that, right? Then if you have an MP3 player, you can connect it to that 3.5 audio connector right here to the right. So that's good right there. So those are all the extra features. Battery. I think one more is battery. The W King, it says, has a 40-hour playtime at very low volume. I'd probably say under 30% or below, or maybe 40% and below. It has a 40-hour playtime, and the battery capacity on the W King D9-1 is 10,400 milliamp hours, or 7.2 volts, 5,200 milliamp hour. I'm not sure if that's for charging or anything like that. Okay, the Dazzling Boom has a 12,000 milliamp hour battery, and at lower volumes, it'll go up to 15 hours. Do take note, on the Dazzling Boom, when you first pair it, you're going to see two entries on your Bluetooth speaker list. It's going to say there's one for Dazzling Boom and Dazzling Boom LE. Do not press Dazzling Boom LE like what I did. You want to hit the Dazzling Boom entry and not the one that says LE to connect it to your device. And then one more with the Dazzling Boom and the Mifa Wildbox is their lighting modes. So the Dazzling Boom has 9 changing colors and 3 lighting modes. The Mifa Wildbox. So the Mifa Wildbox, it says on its page that it has 16.9 million RGB lighting effect colors. And I don't know if you could actually notice that. I noticed around 9, just like on the Dazzling Boom. And there's 6 modes. The last mode with the solid yellow color is a flashlight for flashlight mode, which is why you couldn't change the colors. It just stays at that solid yellow color, at least with the firmware that I have right now, which is firmware 1.99, I believe. The latest firmware, like I said, on the Mifa Wildbox is version 2.06, but I went back to the 1.99 firmware because the latest version, I think 2.03 and 2.06, pushed the treble up too much forward, so it became very sibilant and almost harsh to my ears with the trebles. The bass got tighter and punchier, but it lost some of the overall bass because of the trebles being pushed forward. So I just went back to the stock firmware, which you can do. If you guys want to know, put it down in the comments. I'll make a video, but I'll put a link to Mifa's video on how to change or upgrade the firmware. And then you can go in the product description and the comments to find out how you can also get to the original firmware if you don't like the newest firmware. But I believe when they do have an app, Mifa, when their app comes out, you're probably going to have to switch it up to the latest firmware. But then by that time, when the app comes out, you'll be able to probably customize the EQ settings and things like that. So that's going to be pretty cool, which is the one thing why I don't like about all these three not having that dedicated app like what the Tri-Bit Stormbox Blast and my Anchor Soundcore products have, is that with that app, the Soundcore app or the Tri-Bit app, is that you can customize the sound to how you like it. Which, like I said, the Mifa Wildbox, they are developing the app, which should be coming out fairly soon, maybe in a month or so. So that is it for all the extra features. So you're gonna have to decide, do you like LED lighting? Do you like I would say the W King is probably in its default state, the W King and the Mifa are pretty close as far as being the most balanced. The Dazzling Boom is the most boomy, hence the name, right? Boom. It's got the boomiest bass, but it's not the tightest bass, or it's not the cleanest bass either. Sometimes it bleeds into the other parts of the music, like your mids and your highs. The Mifa, as far as sound quality goes, I think it's the best balanced out of all three, with bass up. Up on is what I prefer on the Mifa Wildbox, and it has the best balance of having deep, low, punchy bass, good mids and highs, and it's very detailed as far as like you can pick up more clarity or more instruments in the songs and more voices and things like that you can't with the other two right here, the Dazzling Boom and the W King. The W King, though, I think gets the loudest, and I think it has just slightly wider soundstage than the Mifa. They're pretty close, and that's pretty rare because the soundstage, I would think, not only has to do with the different drivers, because this has woofers and tweeters as same as the Mifa, but the passive radiators on the Mifa are spread out to the side, so you would think that would give it more soundstage, but not necessarily. And then the Dazzling Boom it's a boomy, bassy speaker. If you guys like that, then go for the Dazzling Boom. It's also the cheapest, and it's the best balance of price to features versus the other two. The one thing I don't like with the Dazzling Boom is that it has the shortest battery life, and it doesn't come with an SD card slot that you can use just in case, you can't get a Bluetooth connection and you're not carrying your MP3 player or your phone or whatever like that. So let's wrap this up. Okay, so that is it for our three-way indoor speaker test battle of all three of these outdoor rugged portable party speakers, between the Dazzling Boom on the left, the W King D9-1 in the center, and the Mifa Wildbox on the right. If there's anything I missed in this comparison video, please let me know in the comments, and I'll put it in the next following videos or so. Let me know which one do you prefer as far as the sound, as far as the looks, as far as the build, as far as the price. Is the Mifa Wildbox worth the extra 40 over the W King, or like 50 or 60 more than the Dazzling Boom? Let me know in the comments which speakers you guys think is the best one, which sounds the best, which looks the best. Let me know in the comments. If you guys have found this video informative and helpful and entertaining, please like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at The Workout Geek for all my latest happenings and great workout tips. Links are in the description on any of these products if you're interested in them. If you guys are, please use those links, as it does help out this channel and my charity, the Wounded Warrior Project. And with that, I will see you guys for the next video. Until then, take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day.
Don't